Chris Wallace of Fox News spoke to the EPA head, Scott Pruitt, and this guy proved yet again that he has no clue what he's talking about.
You had a famous exchange a couple of months ago, actually last month, that I'd like to play right now.
Do you believe that it's been proven that CO2 is the primary control knob for climate? Do you believe that?
No, I would not agree that it's a primary contributor to the global warming that we see.
Mr. Pruitt, there are all kinds of studies that contradict you. The UN's panel on climate change says it is at least 95% likely more than half the temperature increase since the mid-20th century is due to human activities. NOAA, that's our own National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, says there's more carbon dioxide now than in the last 400,000 years, and NOAA says 2015 and 2016 are the two hottest years on record. Mr. Pruitt, are we supposed to believe that that's all a coincidence?
No, look, Chris, I've said through the process, in my confirmation process, individually with senators as well, that there's a warming trend. The climate is changing, and human activity contributes to that change in some measure. The real issue is how much we contribute to it, and measuring that with precision. But then also, what is the process as far as response? What can we do about it? The tools in the toolbox to address the CO2 issue. And you can't just simply, from an EPA perspective, make that up. You can't do what the president did previously with the Clean Power Plan, President Obama and his administration, to simply reimagine authority. That's why we have a U.S. Supreme Court stay against the Clean Power Plan. That's why President Trump is dealing with that regulatory overreach and charting a new path forward to deal with these issues within the framework of the Clean Air Act.
But, sir, you're kind of sugarcoating what you said. You said there, I would not agree that carbon CO2 is a primary contributor to global warming. And the question I have is, what if you're wrong? What if, in fact, the Earth is warming? What if it is causing dramatic climate change and that we, as humans, through carbon emissions, are contributing to it? Simple question. What if you're wrong?
See, look, let me say to you, CO2 contributes to greenhouse gas. It has a greenhouse gas effect and global warming, as methane does, and other types of gases. The issue is how much we contribute to it from a human activity perspective, and then what can be done about it from a process perspective, Chris.
But don't you think the fact that we have these coal power plants belching carbon emissions into the air, do you don't think that plays a role?
I think that we've done it better than anybody in the world at burning coal clean in a clean fashion. The innovative and technological advances that we've seen, along with natural gas production and generating electricity, have all contributed to a CO2 footprint that's pre-1994. Again, we have done better than anybody in the world at growing an economy and also being a good steward of our environment. We have nothing to be apologetic about. We're going to operate within the framework of the Clean Air Act to deal with these issues and make sure that we advance clean air, clean water, not just with respect to CO2, but with those key air pollutants under the Ambient Air Quality Standard program.
Okay, so what he did there is a masterclass in goalpost moving. So let me break it down for you. He starts out in the original segment on CNBC. He starts out by saying carbon dioxide is not a primary contributor to climate change. Now, at the time, the CNBC host was sympathetic to that. In fact, I think the CNBC host is even more extreme in his climate science denial than Pruitt is. So he's in friendly environment, and he kind of lets it all hang out and says what he really wants to say, which is carbon dioxide isn't a primary contributor to climate change, which, by the way, is mental. I mean, that's nowhere near true. Not a single serious climate scientist says that. I mean, you want to see how bad carbon dioxide could be? Go ahead, put a plastic bag over your head and breathe into it. Let me know how that works out for you. Exactly. Then he goes on to, well, okay, look, maybe it's a contributor, but the question is, how much do we contribute, and what can we do about it? And his answers to those questions are, how much do we contribute to it? Not that much. That's what he'd say. Or even if we do contribute a decent amount to it, what can we do about it is the next question, and the answer is really not much. And remember, this is the head of the EPA. This is the guy who's supposed to be directly involved with regulating industry. This is the guy who's supposed to be directly involved with limiting pollution, with limiting our carbon emissions. They're rolling back the clean coal laws, clean power plant laws that Obama rolled out. And as a result of that, by the way, you're going to have an increase in deaths Because yes, pollution, when you're breathing toxic air for that long, it leads to death. So with the Clean Power Plan, it was like it cut deaths at like thousands of deaths because it limited pollution and limited our carbon emissions. And they're rolling that back. So he goes, how much do we contribute? His answer is not that much. What can we do about it? Not that much. And then you finally move the goalpost to, well, look, you can't hurt industry. We need to find a way to, keep the environment clean and stuff, but you can't hurt industry. So in other words, that the priority is you don't hurt the industry, the profits, the jobs. And even if that means we're driving this thing off a cliff because we're at the point of no return with climate change and the temperature keeps rising, the greenhouse gas effect keeps getting worse, more natural disasters, more sea level rise, what are we going to do? It's just like inevitable. We have to drive the car off the cliff because industry, job stuff. And then the final goalpost move is when you say, so if you logically respond to all those things, which any reasonable person can, any scientist can, here's how they would rebut it. Oh, carbon dioxide isn't a primary contributor? That is factually wrong. Then when he says, well, how much do we contribute? Not that much. You say, that's not true. That's wrong also. Then when he says, well, what can we do about it? I don't think we could do that much. You say, actually, yeah, we can. We could regulate effectively. Then when he says, look, don't hurt the industry, that would be the worst problem, you say, yeah, but new industries will take its place. Green technology, renewable technology, jobs in the long run will be better off because we have a new deal and a whole new economic boom waiting to happen with renewable technology. So you reject all of his goalposts moving thus far, and then the final pivot he makes is, look, it's just unconstitutional for the government to even be involved in regulating businesses like that. You're overstepping the original guidelines of our government, and you're overstepping the Constitution, and the EPA doesn't even have the right or the ability to crack down on these businesses as much as they are. So he gives you all the different lines of bullshit, and the final point he makes is, even if I agree totally that climate change is a crisis and it needs to be addressed, and who cares about the loss of old jobs like coal jobs, so on and so forth, even if he agrees to all that, his final position is, don't care, doesn't matter, Constitution prevents us from doing anything anyway. That, my friends, is a masterclass in goalpost moving.